Space Shuttle, this is flight safety. Keep your hands on the handrail or inside the vehicle and remain seated while in motion. You are clear for launch. Have a great flight to Starport 75.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, Chris. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Good.
You want to know why?
I would love to know why.
Because I recently went to the park that I haven't been to in so long. So
Awesome.
Yeah,
Which
good.
park was that?
it's this park called Epcot.
Epcot. I've
I don't know
heard
if
of
you've
that.
Have you? Yeah,
I
it's,
have.
It's really something. It's been around a while. I think I don't know, 10 years or so ago they built it. It's pretty
Cool.
nice.
They have that
Yeah, I went out
robot
there.
Smart One out there. Did you see? Did you see him?
No, I missed that. Where
missed
is that?
Oh.
Is it in Innoventions?
Yeah, Interventions. That's right.
see previous show. Yeah. No, went
So
out to
cool.
Epcot. Yeah. Is that what we're going to talk about today? We're going to.
Yes.
Chris gets
This-
to go on and on and on and
This
on.
entire
about his
episode
trip
is
to Epcot.
a Chris Visits Disney episode.
Oh my God! You going to do that little music thing you do in the beginning?
I am.
And now, can you do that live? Do it live for me. How's it go?
I can.
And now, come on.
I need to re-record that. Quite honestly, I was trying to put together a bunch of stuff that. Anyway, so
And now-
yes, I will put that in here. I will not do that live.
Too bad. Too bad.
And now, a trip report from Chris on Chris's Disney adventures.
I'm gonna make that my ringtone. I think.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Do people
please do that.
Yeah, actually, notice people don't do like as any custom ringtones as they used to. Have you noticed that too, or is it just me? I know you do.
It's
I do.
funny you say that because I always have my phone on vibrate.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason today, I had it. I hit the switch or something, and you actually texted me, and it made a sound, and I was like, "What is
making that
that
terrible sound?"
Why did I hear that?" and so anyway, so yeah, no, that's it's funny you say that because I thought about that because I'm like, I never hear that. So do you want to hear what it was?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and let's see if you can guess.
Do I need to send you something? How's this work?
No, hold on.
Can the whole audience send you something?
Yeah, hold on. Here we go.
Oh, nice.
What's that
Ding,
from?
ding, ding. Is that the Wedway announcement tone?
Yes, very
Oh,
good.
Hey, oh, so much pressure. Woo. Doom, doom, doom.
So,
Yeah, very
So,
nice.
yeah.
Did you get that from your own like video or something at the park? Or
I
you
did
steal that
not.
from something, or where'd you?
no, I'll actually put a link because I actually I like this guy. It's the Epcot Legacy.
Oh yeah,
And-
you've shared that before. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've thrown him a few bucks here and there, and I think he charged a few bucks for a whole bunch of ringtones, like you know, in the recent past, and so I'll put a link to his site. But it's pretty cool. He has a lot of art out there, wallpapers and sounds and music. Anyway, so that's where I got that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, good. I like that. I
right.
approve of your ringtone.
So enough of me.
Is that it? Is the show done? Is
We
it
need
this
to
week in
get
Disney
to-
ringtones?
Chris Visits Disney.
Close. You're flirting with it.
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. So, all right. So
Yeah,
you went
I
to Epcot.
I did.
So when was the last time you went to Epcot? Let's start there.
Oh, last time I went to Epcot.
Yeah.
Gosh, in the months, because I had a little mishap towards the end of the year. So I broke a leg, which it's a little. I don't know if you know this. It's a little difficult to get around the parks when you got a broken leg. But so I had a little mishap, and then it was Christmas time and whatever. So it's been a while. But our motivation, my family and I, for going this particular weekend was because it was the very end of festival. Is it Festival of the Arts? Festival of Arts? Art Festival? Whatever they call it.
The International Festival of the Arts.
One of the triumvirate of the festivals at Epcot, and what I believe, by the way, to be by far the best one.
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
I
you went.
agree.
You were there, right?
1,000,000%. Yep.
Yeah. So, well, let me ask you. It's my trip report, but you're here. So, why do you like that particular festival? What do you like about it?
I like the artists that they have there. They're interactive. They're interactive. You can talk to them. Whereas the Flower and Garden Festival and the Food and Wine Festival are both the Food and Wine Festival used to be, way back when it started, it was cool because they used to have the chefs come out and they would prepare food for you and everything else. Now it's just booths. You go up and, you don't really see anything. You don't get to participate. Same with the Flower and Garden Festival.
You can still get hammered, though. I mean, you can really get drunk.
You can get hammered, yeah.
Okay.
Whereas the art festival, all along World Showcase, you can go up and see the art and talk to the artist and get it's way more intimate than the other two. And they still have a lot of food booths, so they have different things than they normally do for the other festivals, and it's just a different vibe. It's early in the year, where it tends to be a slower part of the year, so it's not as crazy and crowded yet, like the other two are. So all those factors for me, bleed together and make it the festival that that's the one that I would go to over the other two.
So I don't know what to say because I agree with you. So so I'll just say I agree with you. A couple other things I like about it though is that Epcot, at least it's cemented in my head because of where it began, is a very sort of futuristic, technological kind of park, right? But adding in the arts side of it, and I always kind of have to remind myself that arts doesn't just mean visual arts, and they encompass all the arts from culinary arts to music to performance arts to kind of anything that would be under the arts umbrella. I love that intersection of art and technology, and so pulling those together just is my happy place, as it were. So
yeah, I agree.
And I like that it's still small. I'm really afraid of. In fact, I don't even know if I want to talk about it. And in fact, you know what? I'll change my answer and say this is the worst festival. Don't go to this, anybody.
Right.
It's a complete waste of time.
Right.
Because it is nice because it isn't quite the crush, and we my wife and I mentioned that as they do have, even though it's about arts and stuff, like I said, culinary arts and things are still there. So there's a little bit of food and wine in that. They have not as many, not anywhere near as many, but they do still have like food booths and things in some areas around the World Showcase. So it's nice to be able to do that without the roving bands of drunkards with matching T-shirts. So, which is what I feel, and I hate to be this way, like old man, like people ruin it. But my wife said, she's like, if you notice like the crowds and kind of the feel of this, this is what Food and Wine felt like when it first started. I'm like, you're absolutely right, because it was nice and relaxing and kind of like, let's taste some things. Now it's almost like going into battle when you go to, at least for us, when you go to Food and Wine. So yeah, it's nice. I like that they have a lot of workshops and seminars and things. Some of them free and some of them paid. So the other reason to go this weekend was you had clued me into. You're gonna have to remind me his name. Sorry, is it Richard?
Yes, Richard Terpstra.
Thank you. A font and typography expert who is an employee of Disney, but even before that did some great work, like on his own blog and stuff about kind of studying the typography and signage of Disney. And he had a neat little, it's only a little 30-minute thing, but it was a neat event that I really wanted to not miss, and so we went. But it was a trip unlike any other I'd done before because I'm still a little mobility challenged, and there was no way I was getting around this park under my own power. So I rented a scooter, which was a whole adventure in and of itself. So you have kind of two paths you can go down. You can rent the scooters by the day that Disney has, which are those big sort of industrial looking gray ones, right? The only problem they have with those, or that I have with those, is that you can't reserve them, and they don't, there's a limited supply, and so who knows if you would get one. And it's a fair distance to go from the parking lot to where you would get that. And I'm like, well, how am I going to make that, on crutches or whatever? And I just had this nightmare of like going through that whole thing, getting there and then going, oh, we just rented the last one. And so they run like $50 a day. But I went the other route. It was a bit more expensive, but it was basically, I had one rent from a local place. And there are, as I researched this, there are a number of different companies that rent mobility scooters. There are 3 or 4 that have an official tie-in with Disney. I don't have their names in front of me, but the advantage they have is if you're staying at a resort, they are pre-approved to just drop things off at a resort. You don't have to meet them somewhere, but that's the biggest advantage there. So if you're staying there, they can just deliver it, and then Disney staff knows to route it to your room or whatever. So that's pretty cool if you're staying there. But in my case, I just had somebody deliver it to my house, and it's less per day, but there's like a 3-day minimum. So for a 1-day thing like this, I ended up paying about double, maybe a little bit more with all the other fees and stuff. But at least this way I knew it was going to be covered. So anyway, so that was going to make it a little bit different kind of trip, but we went. The other thing I didn't plan for was that it was apparently the same day as a marathon, a walkathon. I guess marathon. Some sort of princess something or other. I don't know. They've got a few of these throughout the year, right? That are kind of centered around Epcot. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it was a Disney Princess Half Marathon.
Half marathon. As you can see, I'm not a big marathon person. I don't know if you know that about myself. But anyway, so as we're getting close to the entrance to Epcot, just driving to get to the toll booth, there's all the traffic is all backed up. I'm like, what is going on? We're relatively early in the morning. It's a Sunday. Made no sense. And then to start to see the throngs of the people I had no idea these marathons or half marathons, whatever, were so popular. There were hundreds, thousands of people.
Yeah, they sell out.
Do they really? Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but so I started to have a little bit of a panic because it was so crowded. It took us 40 minutes to get from the toll booth of Epcot to bag check, essentially. Which is a long time. And normally you breeze through, you park, you get up there. It's pretty quick. So crowded and so busy. In fact, they even give you a little pamphlet at the toll booth to kind of tell you what's going on, because you may not know. Because I guess if you do that half marathon, park admission is included or something. So I guess crazy people actually do that marathon and then go do more walking around Epcot, which seems insane to me, but that's what they do. So, but the good news was they said this in a little pamphlet that they expect that the crowds kind of dissipate by about 10:30, and we got there about 9:30 or so. So, and they were right. It kind of filtered away. So it started off a little scary, but then it was fine. So, but it's a different adventure going to a park in a scooter. I remember a long time ago, I was reading. In fact, it might have been like back in the Usenet days. Like somebody was talking about to be kind of aware of people in wheelchairs, and that is, it's a very different kind of experience when you're in a wheelchair because you're stuck at sort of seating level, and so you can't see all the same thing. Basically, what really stuck in my mind is they're like, imagine you spend your whole day just looking at everybody else's butt, right? Because everybody else is walking around, but you're at butt level with everybody, and it is a very different kind of experience. So, I was I don't want to say happy, but I was interested to see, and hopefully my condition is temporary. Eventually, I don't have to do this, but to kind of see and experience the park from a different kind of perspective of somebody that has a mobility challenge. And I won't go into all the details here, but I had to really put some thought into, well, okay, how does this work for the rides? Do I just don't ride the scooter onto the ride? I have to get off the scooter, park it somewhere, and there is, from park to park and from attraction to attraction, there's a lot of difference in how you get on, like what special accommodations there are for people with mobility challenges like this. Some you can kind of ride right up to with a scooter like this and kind of just transfer. Others you have to kind of get off into a wheelchair and then go to, and so there's lots of different things. So if anybody has this kind of challenge, if you search for a sort of Disney World mobility, you can they have specific pamphlets, in fact, made to kind of run through all the rides and kind of what the routine is and all that. Does that make sense? I'm kind of rambling through this, but but basically, bottom line is there's a lot of variation, and it seems more elaborate than the only other comparison I have to this was back in the late 90s, a similar issue. But back then you could get just like a handicap pass, which basically just every attraction you just kind of hopped to the front of the line, so to speak. But it's a bit more structured now. I didn't do any of that. I basically just we got a few fast passes, and I basically just kind of took the scooter near whatever attraction, and then kind of hobbled around as a just a standard guest would. Yeah. So does that make sense? So if if anybody has this challenge or is going somebody they're a part of this, then it would take a little bit of research, I think, beforehand. Or I'm sure you just ask the cast members and they'll tell you. But so that added a little extra. But I will tell you this, and I hope this comes across the right way. Epcot's a big park, right? Sure. And I'm normally not. I always have a little bit of a mobility challenge, not nearly like I do now. But Epcot is always exhausting to me. Like even just getting to the park from the parking lot, because it is a lot of ground to cover. And let me tell you, having a scooter to ride around on. I'm not advocating this become like Wall-E and everybody just kind of float around on their scooter barges. But I tell you what, it is a whole much more fun experience when you're like, hey, I'm halfway through the park and I'm not exhausted from walking around so much. like you know what I mean? I mean, maybe that sounds terrible, but like especially that part, I don't think it would be quite the same effect in like Magic Kingdom or somewhere. But for Epcot, we're just so expansive. You know, it certainly made a difference. Anyway, that was kind of the extra special little issue to deal with, but it was good. It wasn't a ride-based trip, so I didn't do a lot of fast passes and things. I did get my 3, and I got what I do. I did Spaceship Earth later in the day just to have it. What else did I do, Glenn? You were there. What else? I did a fast pass for a character greeting because I've got 2 youngsters, and I figured that's good for them, and I do the photo pass. Ooh, which remind me, I got a little tip to mention about PhotoPass in a second, or an interesting tidbit about PhotoPass. What was the third one, Glenn? I didn't do Soarin' because we had the little one, and little one. He wouldn't have gone on that. What was the other one I did? I don't know. There was another one in there. Nothing major. Horizons.
Oh, the land.
We went on Horizons.
The Horizons.
The land. That was the other one. Which normally I don't do fast passes for these, but just since I didn't want to risk having to stand longer than I needed to, I just kind of picked family favorites, and that's what we did. Let me can I tell you a little side thing about PhotoPass?
Yeah,
because I had this. So with my mishap, as I mentioned, I let our annual passes lapse because I'm like, well, I'm not going to pay because I know I'm not going to go for a while. Except that we went to the Grand Floridian on Christmas Eve, as we do. See previous shows where I talk about it, and we got PhotoPass pictures taken there, and I didn't realize that our passes had lapsed at that point. I thought they were still live, so I went in the app to go download the pictures, and they had all the watermark over it, and they're like, hey, you don't have a pass, you could buy these for $100 each picture, whatever it is. Right. And I'm like, well, I like them, but not quite that much, and I knew I was going to renew, so I was curious, like if you have pictures taken that. When you're not PhotoPass and you, but let's say you get PhotoPass or you get an annual pass that includes it, what would happen when that activates? I think I asked you. What was your opinion? What do you think would happen?
I think everything you have in there, it becomes active and part of your account again. But I think it wipes out every 12 months. Like if you have anything over a year, it wipes it out. But anything else you have in there should open up, I think.
Yeah. So I figured it would go one of 2 ways. Either, what I had before would unlock because now I'm a PhotoPass person and I have PhotoPasses in there, so I would get them. Or I figured worst case is they would stay locked because they were taken, when I was not in a PhotoPass window. Which, when I renewed, if you read the details about PhotoPass, that's what they say is that your PhotoPass you're only entitled to photos taken while your PhotoPass was active, which I think is an important tip. Which I guess means if you can't buy it retroactively, like if you go down there for a week and then decide after?
Yeah, well, that's true too. So forgetting the annual pass part of it, like for me, I would buy it before I got there. And in fact, they give you a discount if you buy it so far in advance. Because once you get down there, if you go ahead and take pictures, but you say the next day, oh, you know what? I want to get this, this PhotoPass thing where I get all my pictures. It won't include anything before that. Like they try to make it as clear as possible that that anything you've already taken, you owe them $15 a picture or whatever. Yeah, it's not included.
Well, and my empirical experience is actually worse than those 2 scenarios.
Yep.
So, and I did not anticipate this at all. After we activated our passes, I went into the app and went to PhotoPass, and those photos that I had taken while my passes were not active are just gone. But I see ones that were taken before, while PhotoPass was active, and then ones that were taken after I renewed PhotoPass. So it's almost like they have 2 different lists. Like these are PhotoPass ones and these are non, and like depending on what your status is, you'll see PhotoPass or you'll see the non ones, which So now I'm like, are they like gone? Is there no way to get them back? So I'm a little upset about that. I was willing, because one or two of them I would have paid some money for, but I figured if I could get them for free by renewing, then I would just do that. But now I don't even have they're not even there in like watermarked. Like they're just not. They just don't show them.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed about that.
PhotoPass is a weird duck because it's not really. I mean, it's all Disney, but it's not. It's not like, and I know it's in the app and everything else, but the reality is it's a separate deal, and it's kind of funky.
When you say, what do you mean when you say it's not Disney?
No, it's Disney. No, I said it's Disney.
Oh, I
but it's not.
Okay.
It's not. It's not fully.
It's a sidecar.
Integrated with the other Disney stuff, like the Fast Pass and the hotel stuff and all of that. It's still like a separate thing that connects to the app.
I hear you.
Type of thing.
Yeah, so I'm a little bummed that it's just gone, because now I won't get those pictures from Christmas Eve. But
well, and so that's why I'm saying if you talk to somebody and call, and that's part of it too, is that if you ask like a general cast member or even the PhotoPass people, like they're I don't know what happens, but if you go and talk to somebody like that, like a manager, they should be able to pull those pictures back for you.
Hey, can I rant about PhotoPass a little bit more for a second?
Sure.
Since you mentioned the quote PhotoPass people, which I kind of look forward to it, because I'm the family photographer, so 99.97% of our pictures I've taken, so I'm not in. Although I like to say I'm actually in every picture I take. It's a little metaphysical thing. And I think I've complained about this before, but gosh darn it, and they seem like perfectly fine people, but the photographers they have doing PhotoPass are they're just not that talented, Glenn. I hate to be so mean about it. But I've really noticed a rapid decline in the quality of the photos from PhotoPass. Yeah. What are your thoughts? Have you seen similar?
Yeah, well, yes, I have. For the stage, ones on Main Street, the ones at the foot of the planter for where Spaceship Earth is right behind you. For those generic ones, it's anybody, and as long as they can push a button, and tell people to stand on the line, then you're good. Like that's all that matters.
Yeah.
However, I have run into a few in the last few times I've gone where the one I love is they had somebody, a PhotoPass photographer, standing close to Spaceship Earth with a fisheye lens on their camera.
Really?
And posed us so that we're all in the photo and we have our arms up, and I love that photo because it's such a unique shot. And it's something I would take, fisheye, but I wouldn't be in it. And so this is one that I'm actually in. And she knew what she was doing. And so, and I've had that a couple other times in there. So there are some diamonds in the rough, but I would say, the vast majority are just people that they gave a camera to and said, hey, just go out and push the shutter.
It literally feels like, in years past, before it was PhotoPass was such a big deal, or even pre-PhotoPass, just when they had the photographers there, at least I always got the sense they were photographers that was their passion or interest, and that's the job they got. But it seems like more and more it's just that literally what they've done. Like, okay, here's you press this shutter to take it. Everything's sort of pre-staged. You stand here, the light's here, and which is okay, but just it feels a little generic. So I haven't had that good experience like you had of finding somebody that seemed to know what they were doing.
And they're adding it so much that they just need more and more people to go out and do it. And what bugs me too is not just the photographers, but also the quality of the cameras. Those horrible Nikon cameras that they have. No.
I see what you did there.
But no. But seriously, the lenses are always dirty. It seems.
Oh, really?
Like. When they get the pictures back, there are spots on them. I'm like, oh my god! I can go in and clean them up in Lightroom. It doesn't bug me as much, but I'm thinking all the people that in front of me and behind me who had their picture taken by the same camera. And it's like,
most people don't care.
Well, I know, but it bugs me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's funny you say that because and maybe it's just depending. I'm sure they have a mixture of gear that they're floating around. But so we did the characters. I don't know if it has an official name, but whatever the character greeting thing is at Epcot, where you go through and have them take. I was actually surprised at the quality. I thought optically, I thought it looked pretty good. One of them I did notice has like some digital corruption to it, almost like a whole bunch of white flecks all the way through the image. Not like camera noise, but like something in transmission got kind of corrupted or something, which I've never seen before. But thankfully it wasn't one of the better ones. So anyway, sorry rant about that. But wouldn't that be a fun job to be like the head of PhotoPass to like figure out, like you're talking about the person with the fisheye lens,
yeah,
and kind of like, okay, you know what we could do over here is let's give that person a fisheye, and then this is kind of the special picture they can do over there, kind of thing. That'd be kind of cool.
It would be.
Anyway, so how did I get on PhotoPass? Anyway, that was my experience, and so I was curious which way that would go, and it went a way I completely didn't expect, which is, so I guess the moral of the story is if there are any you want to have and you haven't done PhotoPass, then get them before you do that.
This episode is sponsored by ParkLeap. Do you hate waiting in lines for your favorite rides at Disney World, Universal, and Disneyland? Of course you do. Everyone does. ParkLeap tracks current wait times for attractions in real time, analyzes them, and gives you immediate guidance on what to ride now and what to skip for a shorter wait later on. ParkLeap saves you time so you can do more, see more, and ride more. Many theme parks provide their own apps, which is great, but they only report the times. You only get information, you don't get guidance. Is that 40-minute wait good or bad? ParkLeap can tell you. ParkLeap also includes an interface that is clean, quick, and easy to use. Many vacationers travel to multiple theme parks. Now one app does it all. Whether you're a local resident, an annual pass holder, or travel great lengths once a year or every few years, you want to make the most of your time and money. This is the app to get to help you do that. Get ParkLeap in the Apple App Store. And thank you to ParkLeap for sponsoring Starport 75.
So kind of going back to the beginning of the trip, one thing I paid particular attention to is we spoke before about the new Guardians of the Galaxy building, right? And sort of what that looks like coming into. Remember, we saw that aerial shot somebody did of sort of the monstrosity that is that big building, kind of near Spaceship Earth, right? And what that would look like. Like so many things I'm discovering, the internet is just all they get themselves all wound up over things that just aren't that big of a deal. Like seeing things in person, it's like, well, that's not nearly as bad as the internet wanted to make it seem.
Sure.
So, which I guess sounds obvious to say, but in this particular case, my report anyway is that from the front of the park, that building is so far to the left. It's like it doesn't even register as being near the entrance. It is
really?
Like it is. In fact, I'm trying to find a photo while I'm talking to you because I took it specially for you. I should have planned this better. It just doesn't. I mean, if you know what it is and you're looking for it, you'd be like, oh, okay. But it almost from like the parking lot entrance coming in, it's almost like it looks like a service building just off the like. It just you just don't even. I don't think most people would kind of recognize it as a as a eyesore kind of thing, which I was happy to see. But I have some other thoughts about that in just a second. But sorry, I'm pointing away from the mic while I send you this photo. You're welcome to share any of these. This was not taken for its artistic quality. This was taken as evidence. So you can kind of see that. So I was happy to say that. It doesn't really affect the entrance to the park at all. It is, and we kind of talked about that because that picture we saw taken, it was like from the side, from an angle that
they can't even get to because they were in a helicopter.
they're in a helicopter. I think breaking FAA rules or something to get that shot. So.
Oh, okay.
But it's kind of like off. And I'm not sure if it's in that picture I sent, but one of them, it's like just the way the trees are, from street level, it kind of, oh no, that's a different one. I'll send you this one as well. So from like, sorry, I'm moving away from the mic as I do this. So another one I took was from like the Tombstone area, as I like to call it, the Epcot War Memorial. And yes, they're there. If you look for them, you can see them. But you know what? They're the first. There's really kind of two buildings to this, right? There's like they've added to the Universe of Energy building, made it taller or whatever, and then there's that new bigger monstrosity behind it.
Yeah.
But the way the trees are, they're actually quite a bit taller than the back of Universe of Energy, so it kind of camouflages that. and the other big building is much further back. So I really don't think that's going to be a concern as much as the Twitterverse got all worked up about it.
Yeah, that's cool.
However, that being said, there is a monstrosity that I don't think anybody's really talked about with this ride, and it is how it looks from World Showcase. Have you heard anybody talk about this?
Yeah. So if you stand near America and you look towards Mexico, like I've seen pictures, and it's like right behind it.
Yeah, so I just sent you a horrible picture, but it was just a grab thing I did. Yeah, so because it is, and I don't know what the final plan of this is, but it is such a gigantic, just flat wall of right now just painted like sky blue.
Yeah,
it just really stands out as like, what is it? Just, and we've joked, you and I, a little bit about sight lines and with the new Skyway stuff that's going in and what that's going to do. I mean, if you want to talk about sight lines, this thing is horrible. I don't know what they're going to do to theme it, to make it fit in better, to make it look nicer, if anything at all. But if it stays looking like it looks now, shame on them. This is just a horrible. I mean, it looks like the back of a mall or something. It's horrible.
Yep.
And it's a backdrop, at least from this point, like you're saying, from like the we were actually at Japan getting a kakigori. You have the cool test track building, which has its look, but this thing is just a nothing. It's a big industrial nothing, which is horrible. That's criminal.
That's it.
Okay, well, I hadn't seen anybody get all up in arms about this view. I heard them from the front, which I think is a non-issue, but this is terrible.
Well, I mean, that's good to hear. But yeah, no, I've seen many pictures of that, and yeah, it's awful. But I mean, what you gonna do? Well, I mean, how do you camouflage?
You could start a podcast and complain about
it. You could. Yeah, no, I mean, that's
what are you going to do about it? No, what you do is you pick materials that don't look like just some flat industrial building. You find some way to, you put art on it, you dress it up, you give it a facade of some kind. I mean, there's something you do that, you can do something. Yeah. Right? I mean, they're Disney. They have a few dollars. They could come up with something.
They could extend the universe of energy, like panels,
that kind of look. Exactly. So, and it's still possible. I mean, it's not done. So, to in their defense, maybe there's more that's going to come with that building to do something about it. But I thought that was by far the much bigger sin of what from that view what they did. Mm-hmm. But okay, well, you're telling me people already are upset about that. So whatever.
People are upset about the Guardians of the Galaxy ride and building.
Just in general,
I mean, it's just that you could just put a period there. I mean,
fair enough.
So.
Yeah, but people.
It is good to hear though that from the front entrance, at least from the front entrance,
right?
And probably as you're standing in front of it, it's not going to be that overwhelming. But no, there's definitely. I mean, it's there. It's a huge building. What do you know?
Yeah, but they have other huge buildings. I mean, and Magic Kingdom, they go to great lengths to make sure that they're camouflaging not only the backstage areas, but the transition from one area to another. I mean, there are obviously places you can see those seams, but they've gone to great lengths to make to try and hide that. And this one's just like, here's a big flat building for you.
Well, so go to World Showcase, look towards the land, and you'll see the big, huge Soarin' building.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me. I'm not sure why and I didn't do a kind of comparison on this trip, but I fully expected you to say that, and I kind of thought it myself. But I don't know, that one didn't seem to bother me quite as much.
It bugs the heck out of me.
Does it really? Still?
Oh yeah, and that lends to my whole anti-Soarin', feelings.
We know.
Is because of that, and it just looks like they just plop this big building in the middle of Future World that has no theming, it has no reason to be there, and so since then it's like whatever, they're going to do whatever they want.
Well, yeah, I think that goes without saying, but but still, it's so surprising for a company that cares so much about size. It's like, and that's not like an odd, out of the way place to stand. It's not like, well, most people don't come. I mean, that's right. Like at the America side of World Showcase. It's like, and looking back, and lots of people look back. You got Spaceship Earth there or whatever, and that's like,
sure.
That's just man. I hate to just complain, but that really struck out as kind of a problem. But I'm still going to hold a little hope that they have something planned to make that a little less just obnoxious. I mean, it's still big and imposing, but at least something that makes it more interesting. Because me, it's not so much the size or apparentness of it, but how, like, okay, it's big and apparent, and you see it, and it's nothing. It's just a big industrial nothing. So
yeah.
All right, I think I beat that up enough. On the plus side of things, and you're probably going to tell me like you did with the Wedway that, oh God, Chris, they painted that years ago. But I happen to notice around interventions on the I don't know if it was all the way around, but where I was like over by kind of the journey side, looking back kind of the building. I don't know what you call it. The top part of the building, well, it has like these multicolors, like a light blue, dark blue, beige kind of pattern that goes to it. I just sent you a picture. Do you know what I'm talking about? Does that has it been this way for a while? I just never noticed, or
for a little while. From what I read, they were testing paints, paint colors.
Yeah.
Because it's on the backside, right?
Right.
I think it's been up there for a while because I think I remember seeing it. But I think with the upcoming changes to the front entrance of Epcot, I think they're going to demolish those. I think they're going to demolish those buildings. So they're figuring out,
trying some things out. Yeah, well, I don't know if this was just individual testing of colors or whatever, but I liked the palette. I like the kind of the gray blue, light blue with the beige kind of. I don't know, just kind of struck me as I kind of like that feel for Epcot. So just something I noticed. So there's that, whatever. Because of you, I actually took a few notes as I went around my day to make sure I didn't forget what to talk about. Oh, okay. Let's talk about this, Glenn. Let's talk about the Odyssey. Should we talk about that?
Sure.
The Odyssey building, pavilion?
The Flat Odyssey now? Yeah.
What'd you say?
The Flat Odyssey? Yes.
Flat, I mean the inside? Like, is that what you mean? Yeah. Okay. So, so let's talk about this. So this, to me, is another case. I know you're going to disagree, but I have the benefit of having been there and you haven't, so neener. So, but this is going to feel a lot more like people on Twitter getting all worked up over things that in real life aren't so bad. So I went to the Odyssey, which is that hexagonal building, whatever. Is it a hexagon? What is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Which now, I don't know what they use when it's not Festival of the Arts, but during Festival of the Arts is where they have all the workshops and things. And so that's where we went to go see that one on the fonts and typography. And I had your voice in my head complaining about how they changed it all. But I tell you, I think they were putting aside for a second, getting rid of something legacy and sticks around. But I think from a purely practical and design standpoint, I personally found all those changes they made to that building all positive. So, because they opened it up, you can see out the sides a bit more now, and it didn't feel so claustrophobic, and it made much more sense for the flow, for having it one level like that. So, and the color schemes inside were nice. It went from the kind of really dark brown stuff to a bit more lighter stuff, and they even had a neat little motif of in front of where they serve the food and stuff. Underneath that, they carried the theme of the panels of Spaceship Earth. They kind of had those kind of in whatever material those were in front of that. So overall, I mean, I'm really trying to make sure I'm not disagreeing with you just because it's fun. But for me, it felt like those were all positive changes to that building that felt like it really needed it to me. So take that as you will.
Cool.
Okay. When you get quiet like that, that's when you completely disagree. But
no, I haven't seen it. I mean, it's done. I mean, it used to be a really cool place with character. I understand about the flow and the usefulness of flattening it out. That makes perfect sense. It does. But that's fine. I felt it still had a huge convention center and
no.
Take out any character for everything.
So. I knew you were going to say that. No, but that's what I'm saying. I really don't think it did. I think it actually is and kind of we talked about in a previous show about modernizing Epcot, and maybe it's not the Epcot it was, but maybe making it a new, just as good or better Epcot in some ways in a more modern time. That's kind of how it felt to me. It was almost a little microcosm of what we're looking at. They might be doing with Epcot as a whole. Which is, some of this old stuff has to go, like Interventions, Communicore stuff, but hopefully in the end you end up with something that in a modern time works better. And that's kind of how I felt about it. But I had zero emotional attachment to that building before, so take that as you will. So there's that. I wanted to talk about the little new family play zone. I don't know if it has an official name. It's over by Test Track, kind of. Do you know what I'm talking about? Behind Mouse Gear. So one of the things, I don't remember what came up, but it was maybe a year or so ago. We have little kids, and like especially with the little guy who's 2 to 3 in the last couple of years in that age range. There's like, so I feel bad for him because he sits in a stroller and there's only so much he can, we can't let him go because he'll just take off and end up in a pond somewhere. So he ends up getting combined to a stroller. It's like, I wish there was more that he could do to burn off energy and stuff. And there's like little splash pads, but if you don't want your kids getting soaking wet and have to deal with changing clothes and all that, it's like, what do you do with them? So they added this little play area, which frankly is, in fact, my son said, hey, these are the same things we have at my playground at school. So I mean, it is off the shelf playground material stuff, which makes sense. And they've had temporary versions of this before for like Flower and Garden, maybe Food and Wine, usually off to the side over on that path that connects World Showcase and Journey together. Mm-hmm. But this looks like at least a more semi-permanent edition. They did have it themed a little bit in a Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet kind of theme, but it all looked like it could be, they could probably change that theme over in a night sometime if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. But it was a nice, it's in and of itself, it's nothing special, but having that little, we went over there and spent probably, 30 minutes or so, let the kids run around, burn off some energy. It was a nice addition. So for those with young kids, it's not very Epcot-y, it's not very specifically, Imagineered or anything, but I think it's a positive addition. So I wanted to mention that. Any thoughts on that? Do you hate that thing? The idea of that thing? You couldn't care less? Your kids are older now? It doesn't matter?
No. Well, that's true, yes.
Okay.
No, they've had that before, just themed differently. I think, it's, yeah, when you have kids certain ages, you realize the benefit of having things for them to do. Mm-hmm. so no, it's fine. As long as it's being used and yeah, I have no problem.
And it was kind of a dead space over there. It wasn't really.
Yeah,
like
exactly. That's fine.
Right. Now you said they'd done this before, themed differently. Do you mean in that location or just other places? Mm-hmm. No, this is new there.
No.
Yes. Well, how long do you think?
I'll show you pictures.
For how long? Year. For when?
For at least last year.
Oh yeah. I know, but it wasn't there like 5-10 years ago.
Right? Oh my God, no.
No. Okay. All right. I'm just trying to get a sense of scale. Yeah. Okay, so that was cool. I as a one with little kids, I like that. As you mentioned before, we went on the land ride, which I always love. It just because it's still the pure Epcot of old. Mm-hmm. Still it is what it is. We went on Nemo, which is the complete opposite of that. Which I really want to like the Nemo thing, but I really don't. But the kids like it, so we did that. No. Let's see. We were all the way by Canada, and my son said, "Hey, remember that shaved ice thing that we got? Kakigori? I want one of those." I'm like, "Man, that is a long way away." But I looked at my family. I'm like, "I'm on a scooter, so whatever you want to do, I'm game."
That sounds good.
Let's go.
Thank you for that suggestion. Let's go.
Pretty much. That was the other fun bit.
Did you pop a wheelie?
Well, no, but so it has like a speed control, and we did this on the way out because I didn't want to. And I think my son rode almost as much as I did that day. He didn't do a whole lot of walking. He just wanted to ride on my lap, so we did that. But on the way out, we cranked up the speed super high, and over by the tombstones where there weren't a lot of people there, I went to turn around, and I swear I almost tipped that thing. Luckily I caught it before it went over. So they'll do some speed. But anyway, we went over. Hey, I'm not a fan of what they've done with the kakigoris, which you might say, Chris, it's just shaved ice and sugar syrup. But how bad can that be?
No. Yeah, look, we have snowballs here, and we're very particular about our ice and sugary syrup.
Okay. Well, then you can really. I'm thankful to report that my issues with it aren't with the actual delicacy itself. It still seems like it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. My issues with how they serve it. It used to be like in a little paper cone thing, which was kind of easy to hold and have like a snow coney kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But now they serve it in like this little plastic bowl that you have to use a spoon and. I think you'll see it in my pictures that I shared, and I just, especially for given to a kid, it just didn't seem as friendly to kind of walk around and deal with. So I don't think that was an overall positive change, but at least the treat's pretty much the same.
Good.
Let's see. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. I don't have anything. We rode Spaceship Earth, which I always love, and I've mentioned that before about, that's the beauty of these attractions like that. They make you think, and they hold over time, and see that's how it is. And maybe it's hard for me to tell because it's just because I'm an old guy and I have emotional attachment to Spaceship Earth and like the land, and I don't for Nemo. But I tell you what, I'm like, I've seen Nemo. If I never saw that ride again, I'd be like, okay. Mm-hmm. If somebody said you can never go on Spaceship Earth again, I'd have big issues with that, right? Yeah, so that tells me, that there's a level of quality in those and same with the land. It's just there's something about it. It's like, it sparks something that the others don't. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm asking the wrong guy if I ask you, but I ask myself and say, is it just because I'm, are they really are they actually better or just, whatever?
Yeah. I mean, my kids enjoy it. So I think it transcends just us.
Okay.
I hope it does. But they're not making many more of those, so
no.
I don't know if we're anomalies or just bring our kids up right or what, but
yeah, and it is hard to say. They've been tainted by your sort of vision and thoughts, right? So
true.
Who knows? But
my daughter's still upset that they took out Maelstrom. So
yeah, wow. That's some good parenting right there, sir.
You like that? I know.
I do. So let's see what else I want to mention. Like I mentioned how much I love the Festival of the Arts. This is year 3, I think, right?
Yes. 2017 was the first.
Yeah, there are 2 things because I'm sure they listen to this podcast and are interested in my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
It is. So what would I suggest? One, merchandise. Yeah. I didn't buy a single thing. Because I don't know, the design, whatever. I didn't like there was a t-shirt that had a cool, like multicolored, Spaceship Earth thing on it. And don't take this the wrong way. I love Figment, but they like slapped this big giant Figment on top in front of it. Like, hey, I'm Figment being artsy. And I'm like, if they just left Figment off and just had that cool design of Spaceship Earth with the artsy kind of multicolored thing, I would have bought it. But they just had, that, for me, it kind of ruined it. So I didn't really see anything, but I actually didn't go to the Wonders of Life thing, so I don't know this year if they had more stuff over there. We didn't actually go over there.
Well, I think that's closed. I don't.
That's what I thought, because it seems like the only thing they have is what's at the Odyssey, right?
Yeah,
so, yeah. So I think I saw it all, and there's just like there's nothing. The poster was like So it's a little disappointing that I guess for something that is an art festival, that the art of the merchandise wasn't, at least for me, didn't feel more inspired.
Well, so the first year was, in my opinion, was by far the best as far as merchandise and the poster, and all that good stuff. Because it was the concept art for Epcot, and I have the poster hanging in my office.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
And it was more, they had a whole exhibit of the concept art from Herb Ryman and Mary Blair.
Right.
Which is really cool. And then we went last year, and it was the poster art, which was still really cool, because I like the poster art. And they showed the differences, like, all the Space Mountain ones from all around the world and everything else. So that was kind of cool. The poster art was an original piece, and it didn't really jive for me.
Yeah.
I don't know what the poster looked like this year, but I saw most of the other merchandise on the Disney blog or whatever. Nothing floated my boat, and I'm usually the first one.
You're willing to game to get anything they put out usually. So
yeah. And so no, I agree. I don't know why they're going. To me, it seems like they're going backwards. Like they're going more. And you're right. Figment is they just slap him on everything.
Yeah, he seems like he's the art festival mascot now, which is fine. But like even if they had taken the same thing but made him like much smaller and just kind of like I don't know, just I felt a little too whatever. And it's one of those things that's so heartbreaking when, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but you and I talked about this one other thing where it's like, man, if they just hadn't done this one thing, it would have been a perfect thing, right? Yeah. And that's kind of what that shirt felt like, was like, oh, if they just left Figment off or made him smaller, it would have been like so cool, Spaceship Earth, and just that multicolored splotchy theme that it was this year. Yeah. But anyway, still my favorite festival. I was thinking it's probably fun to work in the group that does the festival planning. I would imagine they have. I'm just guessing completely out of the air, but I'm guessing there's probably like this group is the Festival of Arts group. They do all the planning. This group is the food and wine. It's got to be so much fun to, because I was thinking, okay, we went on the very last day. You could already start to see the changeover in some areas where they were starting to build the butterfly garden for a flower garden and stuff. So it's got to be fun, that rotation stuff. So that's probably a fun area to work in. Yeah. That being said, I will say that I think they need to add, what am I trying to say? It felt almost a little bit stale this year in that, like, okay, this is year 3, and like they still had the same living statues things, the same sort of layout. It seems like, okay, we need to add a little bit more, a little freshness to it, because if I show you pictures of last year's and this year's and make you pick which was which, you'd be like, I don't know, it all looks the same. So
I agree, I know.
So I'd like to see a little bit update of that, but still my favorite. And then to just kind of finish it out, what really made the day, I mean, it was beautiful weather, wasn't too crowded once the all those crazy fitness people left. But what really made the day for me was just completely random. My son was riding with me on the scooter. He looked up at me and he said, "Dad, I'm having a great day at Epcot." And that made the whole day worthwhile. So yeah, and that's why we go to Disney. And before we went, I hate to admit this on his behalf, but before we went, he's like, "Dad, do we have to go to Epcot today? Because we always get home late and I don't have time to go on my iPad before I go to bed." That was his complaint. And so I went on a 42-minute old man rant about, do you know how many kids would give anything they have to be able to spend a day at Disney World, blah, blah, blah. You spoiled little bananas. You spoiled little kid. So anyway, that made up for it, that he enjoyed himself, clearly. So yeah, so that's how it ended.
Cool.
That was my trip. So we didn't stay too. We got there by the time we got through security and stuff, it was like 10 o'clock, and then we left around 6. So most of the day.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. And that was a question I wanted to ask, was how long did you stay there? But that's actually pretty long for you.
Yeah, well, I didn't have to walk, so yeah, you all stay as long as long. And quite honestly, I would have. I was really tempted to stay later because the fireworks show is ending soon, and they have a few signs and posters up around, like, experience it before it goes, and we don't see them too often there. Yeah. But it was a school night, and it's just to get home and go through all that routine and stuff. So I just didn't want to get home too late. But
they were going to, or they're going to. I don't have an opening date for this, but they're supposed to. I don't know if they're replacing the music for Illuminations or just adding to it, but they're supposed to have like a tribute to like Epcot attraction music.
Oh wow! Okay.
In it, and so I just saw that and I'm like, oh, how did I not know that? And that's one thing I would actually really, really like to see, or I'm sure I'll see it on YouTube somewhere, but
that's not the same. So you need to come down.
It's not the same, but yeah, so
I'd be interested in that too. So I might try to make when is that ending? That show? Do we know? Do we have an?
They just say 2019. I don't think there's a date for that yet.
Okay. Well, I might try to make it out there again. I mean, we've seen it 100 times, but still, be fun one more time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that was my trip to Epcot. It was a nice day. So
awesome,
good. I recommend it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, I wish I could be out there, but
yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. I'm like, man, I wish the Welches were here. That would have been a fun day.
Yeah, it would have been.
Oh well, hopefully soon. But when you're not at Universal. Anyway, that was Chris goes on a trip report. So you get a little closing music. Yay,
it's my favorite show.
In a way, mine too, because I get to be a little self-reflective about it as we go through the day and kind of think of things to talk about. So it's kind of fun for me. So not that I need an excuse to go, but it was good. So we're trying to go now that I can get around a little bit and before like the summertime heat really becomes crushing. So. Yeah. Anyway, that was it. I'm a pass holder again, and I feel good about myself. So
that's
more
awesome.
Disney. Yay. All right. Well, thanks for listening.
All right. Thank you.
Guess we'll see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Starport 75. Follow Chris on Twitter and Instagram at CBGray, and Glenn on Twitter and Instagram at DizWiz. Follow the show on Twitter and Facebook at Starport75 and Instagram at TheStarport75. For all things related to the show, including show notes and links to connect with us, visit us at starport75.com.